Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
How Europe is outgunning the US and Russia. Leopard 2A8, Stridsvan 123, Challenger 3, and Leclerc Evo.
War has often accelerated technological development far beyond the pace seen in peacetime. Take World War I, for example. Tanks, machine guns, poison gas, and mobile X-ray units were all introduced in the race to gain an edge on the battlefield. In World War II, the world saw the emergence of radar, penicillin, early computers, rockets, jet engines, and of course, the atomic bomb, which later gave rise to the atomic reactor. I'm Tuomas, a former officer in the Finnish Defense Forces, and in today's video, we'll explore how more recent conflicts, like those in Ukraine, Syria, and to a lesser extent, Myanmar, have shaped and accelerated the evolution of
Myanmar, well,
modern
that's a
warfare.
first.
As always, our focus will be on European projects and innovations, and this first episode will focus on armored warfare and artillery, and how modern designs are rapidly changing in order to keep pace with what is an ever-changing battlefield. As the historic king of the battlefield, it only makes sense to begin this overview with tanks. We'll first take a look at the current capabilities of European NATO members and explore some of the major projects shaping the future of armored warfare on the continent. But before diving into today's tech, let's take a moment to revisit Europe's deep-rooted tank heritage. The concept of an armored fighting vehicle dates as far back as 1482, when Leonardo da Vinci sketched a rudimentary design resembling a mobile fortress.
It resembles a UFO, that's what it resembles.
However, it wasn't until the brutal trench warfare of World War I that tanks truly came to life on the battlefield. In 1916, Great Britain deployed the world's first operational tanks, dubbed land ships at the time, during the Battle of the Somme. Of the initial 50 tanks sent to France, just 32 were used in combat, and only 9 managed to reach the German lines. Still, their impact was profound. The psychological shock they caused among enemy troops marked the dawn of mechanized warfare. Great Britain kept their tank advantage for about a year until the French, Germans, and Americans caught up, and Great Britain would employ improved variants of the tank in the Battle of Cambrai in 1917 to an extreme effect. 400 British tanks would penetrate 9 kilometers out of an 11-kilometer front and essentially disintegrate large sections of the entire front. By the time World War II was in full swing, Germany had firmly established itself as the dominant force in armored warfare. Its heavily armed Tiger and Panther tanks outclassed most of their Western, Soviet, and Japanese counterparts on the battlefield. The formidable Tiger II, in particular, became a foundational influence on the design of many Western tanks developed during the Cold War. Modern tanks like the Abrams, AMX, and Leopard can all trace their lineage back to the technological advancements made by Germany during this period. While many believe German tanks from World War II are sometimes overrated, especially when compared to highly effective designs like the Sherman Firefly and the legendary T-34, there's no denying that Germany held a clear edge in armored vehicle engineering at the time, albeit sometimes making overly complex vehicles that didn't suit the slogging match on the Eastern Front. Moving forward to today, European NATO nations operate a mixed bag of around 5,000 main battle tanks. Of these, around half, or 2,500, are considered obsolete models like the Leopard 1, PT-91, T-72, or M84.
Whoa.
Many of the older models
I'm
have also been
impressed how they moved too as well because they now make cars to move this way too.
The sideways?
donated to Ukraine, including most of the Leopard ones in
But you see the way they have, like, I don't know what you call it, the rotating,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what
The
you
circle?
Yeah, I don't know what you call that, conveyor belt rotating kind of. It look, the cars with the wheels,
I don't know how they
they
manage.
somehow on the axis they switch the wheels.
Turn,
Yeah.
yeah.
Europe. In terms of modern battle tanks, European nations generally operate 8 types of tanks. Leopard 2, in which I'll include the Swedish Stridsvagn, Leclerc, Challenger 2, the K2, Panther, Abrams, and to a lesser degree the Ariete, as this fleet is now slowly getting replaced by Panthers.
That's a lot of different tank models. So basically, like every major country has their own tank. That's kind of like, remember when we did the video, how can EU like improve in like the weaponry, is that each country specializes into one thing. Right now, yeah, this seems a little wasteful. Why you need so many different models instead of having like what 7, 8 countries doing tanks? Leave it to 1 or 2 countries do tanks. The others can do like air force and stuff like
Because
that.
I wonder the issue would be that do you feel comfortable not having that technology? You trust it all into one country.
I mean,
Because what if you end up having issues with that country? You know what? It's wartime.
you can look at it like that. I don't know. I don't think you can look at it like that. That's the whole point of alliance. You have to trust that okay, your ally is gonna come to help.
Mm. At one point, Germany was not an ally.
Now they are.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I don't. Plus, if you see like something, the world changing or that particular country changing, it's too because it's not gonna happen overnight anyway.
Mhm.
If you start seeing the changing the tune, then you can readjust. But as far as everyone on the same
Everyone's
page,
readjusting with the U.S.
yeah, and they are readjusting, which is cool. But and even
And at
then,
one point, U.S. was the ally.
okay, but I'm saying they are readjusting now. So it is what it is. But they trusted the U.S. So I feel like they should trust each other European countries as well.
If we include modern model main battle tanks in storage, European NATO has somewhere along the line of 2,000 pieces, with a further 1,600 or so currently being produced and upgraded. As for the future tank projects in Europe, there are quite a few great projects. I'll list the following variants in no particular order. They are all good, and all have their key speciality, price point and value. Seeing as it is Europe's most exported main battle tank, I'll start with the Leopard 2A8 and ARC. Germany, Croatia, the Netherlands, Sweden and Lithuania are procuring at least 300 Leopard 2A8 tanks, featuring advanced modular armor, a 120mm smoothbore gun, and integration with the Trophy active protection system, which has worked wonders against FPV drones in other wars. The ARC variant focuses on enhanced survivability and battlefield networking capabilities, and will likely be a part of both Germany and many other Leopard 2 operating nations' mechanized battalions within a few years. Germany
Interesting. The antennas are so big on both of them.
Yeah.
I guess for comms.
Oh.
is trialing the
I wonder how different these two are from one another.
Probably structurally the same because it's both Leopard 2. I think just like technology wise, there's probably some differences.
Because you
ARC
said a lot of people are getting the previous one, the 2A8.
as an adaptation of the Leopard 2A8 with faster reload time, a crewless turret, and a heavier protection on top, where FPVs would normally take out even modern tanks. France is developing the Leclerc Evolution, a significant upgrade to its existing Leclerc MBTs. This modernization includes the integration of the Ascalon 120mm gun, improved armor protection, and advanced fire control systems. Interestingly, France has gone with more top-mounted turrets and
The thing
sights.
is that when it comes to like doing these things, building these things, is you're making money. So to just volunteer to give out this job, this big job, you're losing income too. I can't imagine a country saying, "Okay, I'm gonna forego this money, give it to another country," and people looking at me, "What about jobs here?"
I don't think it's forego. I think it's just switch your priorities. You don't like okay, yeah, let me stop it and not do nothing. No, you stop this, but you start doing like handguns or air force or water weaponry, some or technology, stuff like that. That's how I would see it.
The most recent Leopard 2, which has proven susceptible to FPVs in Ukraine. It's not clear whether the Evolution will be the final Leclerc upgrade, but I expect that the French and Germans will likely land a joint platform in the coming years through the KNDS and Nexter conglomeration. Sweden, keeping its...
But you can tell that the designs of the newer tanks look nicer too, though. Like obviously it's not vehicles, it's not cars, they're not supposed to look good, but they look sleeker. Like you're looking at the old tanks and the new upgraded tanks. The upgraded, they look a little sleeker.
The only complaint I would have is that it leaves mark on the floor. I feel like people gonna know when you're coming and when you're going.
Oh, yes, that. Yeah.
I feel like it should leave tracks that look like animal prints. Yes.
They can hire you for obfuscation
Is
purposes.
enhancing its armored capabilities by modernizing 110 Stridsvagn tanks to the 123A standard and acquiring 44 newly built 123B tanks. These upgrades include the integration of the L55 smoothbore gun, advanced thermal imaging systems, upgraded electronics, and improved mobility features.
I want to see what it
Once
like
these upgrades are complete,
inside.
Sweden will have around 150 extremely capable main battle tanks. The UK's Challenger 3 program involves upgrading existing Challenger 2 tanks with a new 120mm smoothbore gun, enhanced armor, anti-drone technology, and state-of-the-art targeting systems. Developed by Rheinmetall and BAE Systems, the Challenger 3 is being designed to meet modern battlefield requirements and is expected to enter service by 2030. There's currently a debate going on within the British MOD if now is the time to rethink this decision and rather focus on a totally new platform, as Russia is likely at least 5 years out from being a threat. So if Britain or any of the other tank-producing nations were to ever have time to revamp their platforms, now would be it.
So I think this is what I was alluding to. Like, should they keep making tanks or should they readjust and make something else? I think that's the idea what they're talking about.
Perhaps the most advanced and also the most expensive newcomer to the list is Rheinmetall's Panther KF-51. The Panther is a next-generation MBT concept featuring a
I wonder if
130
you can send something like this but nobody in it.
Oh, like a drone, tank drone. I think that's the next technology, yeah. Unmanned tanks, yeah.
millimeter main gun.
Maybe it already exists, I don't know, but yeah, unmanned tanks would be good. Ultimately, the war is gonna be fought between robots. Humans just sitting there
Yeah.
controlling whose robots are better. Is that what
Yeah.
we're doing? Maybe.
Advanced digital architecture, and modular design for future upgrades. Unveiled in 2022, the KF-51 emphasizes increased firepower, protection, and connectivity to address evolving combat scenarios. Italy and Hungary have so far decided to co-produce Panthers locally, with Italy expected to build 380 Panthers for its armed forces to replace its aging Ariete MBTs. If this was a visual competition, I think my vote would go to the Panther. Last but absolutely not least, Poland has embarked on a significant modernization of its armored forces by procuring K2 Black Panther tanks from South Korea. The agreement includes the acquisition of 180
Oh, so this is not European tank. This is South Korean tank. Interesting. Okay.
tanks, with plans for domestic production of the K2PL variant tailored to Polish requirements. This initiative aims to enhance Poland's defense capabilities and foster technological collaboration, and considering that this tank is reasonably priced, I wouldn't be surprised if more nations in Europe opt for vehicles produced in Poland once it has its assembly lines going full tilt. Based on the lessons from the war in Ukraine, tanks have seen mixed success on the modern battlefield. In this next segment, we'll briefly examine how Europe's 3 most donated advanced main battle tanks have performed in comparison to the American Abrams and Russia's most modern tank, focusing on documented losses and destruction rates. After that, we'll explore what role tanks are likely to play in the evolving landscape of combined arms warfare. First, let's start with the most donated modern European battle tank in Ukraine, the Leopard 2. A whole host of nations have donated this to Ukraine in varying models: Norway, Germany, Poland, Finland, Portugal, Spain, Canada, the Netherlands, and Denmark,
Whoa.
sending a total of 167 to aid in the defense against Russia. Using Oryx's excellent website, who still geolocates and identifies losses to this very day, we can see that so far, 32 have been visually confirmed
You
destroyed.
know, I kind of
While a
want an update. What's going on with this war?
Well, the update is America said, okay, we're done. Figure it out.
But so
Trump.
so they're not actively.
No, they're fighting actively, yeah. But no, I'm just saying, like, in terms of peace negotiations, yeah. Trump, said, okay, y'all guys gotta figure it out. I ain't got time for this. Call me when you're ready to make a deal. That's basically what he said, paraphrasing.
Further 20 or so have been damaged, with some of them being repaired and returned to the front. All in all, this leaves us with a destruction rate of around 20%, with a further 15 to 20% damaged as well. Now, I know some people will likely complain in the comments that these statistics aren't complete, though with Russia being overly keen on bragging about destroying Western tech, it is likely as close as we'll get. Performance-wise, once Ukraine started using the Leopard 2 for what it is best for, which was originally to sit back and destroy a Russian or Soviet advance in Europe with its hefty stabilized gun, it quickly proved its value. While tanks have been almost completely proven very vulnerable in advancing into potential
I wonder
breaches
what
due to FPVs,
captured.
Hmm?
They captured.
Yeah, a Russian jumps into, where you control it and drives away. Takes it home.
the Leopard 2, as well as the other
I
Western
wonder
tanks,
if they
have proven
use
to
it in combat or they
Probably they would try to, but
study.
this is such advanced machinery that I don't know if you can just get in and like, oh, let me just you have to know how to do, what to do. It's
So they study it maybe and then
maybe yes,
incorporate it into
reverse
theirs?
engineer it, try to see how it's done, to kind of mimic it, see if they can steal a technology or two. That's what I would think.
save its crews and be salvageable to a much larger extent than Russian and Soviet-made tanks. which seem to instantly barbecue their crews if the turret is hit. Secondly, the UK donated a total of 14 Challenger 2 tanks, which has seen some of the toughest engagements in the war so far, including some infamous videos released by Russia from a gazillion angles, where a Kharmov-52 attack helicopter shoots at a shed and claims it's a
How
Challenger.
come they're clear to say
In-
donate?
Because it was donations.
Because here in the States, they say they gave funds to Ukraine, but now it's considered a loan.
I think the funds, as in money, was loaned. The guns were donated. I think that's yeah, because
I wonder how they decide.
because how do you loan the guns? What, you're gonna take them back? They're gonna get destroyed, you know.
Total, Oryx has managed to geolocate and
No,
verify
I understand
only
money
two.
to purchase power those equipment.
So money is money, and you know some countries we included we send guns too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when you send a gun, like I don't know, it's high likely it's gonna get destroyed. So, because also don't forget, it's good to like a testing ground for guns too. You come up with something new. Oh, send it to the to try it on the Russians.
Oh.
See how it does. What improvements can we make?
Destroyed Challengers, even though Russia's propaganda squad has tried on multiple occasions to say they've destroyed them all. What makes the Challenger different from the Leopard 2 and Stridsvagn 122 is its heavy angled armor,
They say they
making it a
destroy
lot
them all, so you don't send it again.
more durable against FPVs. Take this video of a Russian FPV drone trying to take out a Challenger, not once, but 3 times, and failing to show any evidence of even minor scratches to
What
its
is
surface.
this? It's like
Last but not least, Sweden donated a
I don't
this
know what
metal to hit it.
FPV is. I don't know what FPV is. No.
total of 10 of its upgraded Leopard 2 variant, the Stridsvagn 122 in 2023. Out of the 10 delivered, only 1 is confirmed destroyed, while a further 5 have
Oh.
been damaged or abandoned. Incidentally, Oryx has tracked at least 14 videos of Russia claiming to have destroyed it, meaning that various models of this tank has been hit many more times than it has been destroyed. As with the Challenger, it appears that the added armor on the Stridsvagn compared to the Leopard 2 has helped it survive FPVs to a much greater extent than its parent vehicle. The American Abrams has also seen wide-scale deployment in Ukraine after the US, under Joe Biden, donated 31 vehicles in September 2023.
He made sure to clarify under Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Australia has also pledged a further 49, but this delivery appears to have stalled completely. Out of the 31 Abrams delivered, 10 have been confirmed destroyed by visual confirmation via Oryx, and a further 12 have been damaged,
Oh wow,
abandoned, or captured.
that's very poor
This
rate.
means that the Abrams comes out of the Ukraine war so far with a destruction rate of 32%. It's important to note, however, that the version of the Abrams delivered to Ukraine is over 40 years old and does not reflect the newest technology. For a bit of comic
Right.
relief,
So the old
That's
shit,
awful.
the old shit they don't need, they send it.
But
take
pretty
it.
much.
It's like a donation to Goodwill.
Oh,
let's take a look
wow.
at Russia's so-called top-tier functional tank, the T-90. We'll skip the infamous T-14 Armata, which seems more suited for parades than battlefields, given its notorious mechanical issues and near-zero combat presence. At the start of the war, Russia had around 70 operational T-90s. However, Oryx has visually confirmed and
Oh, wow.
geolocated a staggering 119 T-90s destroyed.
Wow.
That number exceeds their pre-war arsenal, and even with ramped-up production and reports of India-bound T-90s being quietly redirected for Russian use, they still aren't replenishing these losses fast enough. When you add another 51 T-90s that have been confirmed as captured or damaged, Russia's effective loss rate of this so-called elite tank is close to total. As we've spoken about before on this channel, it's evident that cooperation among the big tank-producing nations of Europe would be a very wise way forward.
Yeah, but there's some
German,
tanks that are
French,
better than other
Italian,
tanks.
and
Other
British
tanks,
companies-
you just keep it.
Well, okay, as it is right now, yeah, but I think the idea of collaboration, so maybe if we do decide that one country does it, or let's say 2 countries specialize in tanks, period, maybe you can share technology and combine and make a super tank. Combine
That's how
the
I'm
best.
wondering, where's the super tank?
Well, maybe that's where we headed, for a super tank, the one unbeatable tank.
Are already well on the way to do this, with BAE, Green Metal, KNDS, Leonardo, and Nexter working on different variants. But in my opinion, we should probably see even closer cooperation. Does Europe really need 6 homemade main battle tanks? If we could cut this to 2 or 3 instead, and rather focus on expanding production, it would likely offer a much better pound-for-pound product
I
Yeah,
agree.
that's
Yeah,
what I
that
was
makes sense.
saying, yeah.
That
to
makes
our
sense.
armies. All European additions in Ukraine seem to have better survivability than their American and Russian counterparts. And by pooling this knowledge,
It is interesting that American was so bad, but the caveat is it's old ass tank. So I mean, okay, 40 years
We
old.
don't know the good ones. I mean,
Yeah, well, they don't send the good ones. They don't want Russians getting
yeah.
hands of it on it
Oh,
because there's technology they probably don't want Russians to
that's
see.
an interesting thing to think about too, as well.
Because when you get captured, the whole reverse
Yeah.
engineering, you don't want to show your cards. So it's not your
Yeah.
war to fight at the end of the day. So you just send the
Mm.
rejects, the discontinued ones.
into maybe 2 models,
Mm.
we'd likely be in a much better place as a continent. If you take the excellent armor capabilities of the Challenger 2 and Leclerc, the gun and sights of the Leopard 2, the incredible engine in the Panther, and the electronics in the Stridsvagn, it'll likely create a tank which can outcompete anything else on the market.
Mm.
If resources are pooled, we could likely also push down the production price. Now, I know I said that I'd cover artillery and other armored vehicles in this overview too, but I'm running out of time this week.
Okay.
Can I see the comments?
Yeah, Europe should make dedicate a country or two to make tanks, and that's it. Thank God it's finally Friday and another upload from Military Related. Sweden has 70% of its surface covered by forest, so a shorter barrel can be crucial to be able to get the turret around the forest terrain. This is the background to the Stridsvagn. Okay, makes sense, the reasoning. Okay. Maybe you can make like a model that's shorter, but make it so you can add. Just screw a longer one,
Yeah. Like a telescope.
Kinda, yeah. Actually, yeah, telescoping one too, yeah. Australia, even though our army is now operating Abrams SCPV 3 V tanks, these are essentially rebuilt old hulls. I'll have to be replaced with a new vehicle, and European Russia had a great
That's why
chance.
they didn't send it.
Yeah, they don't have it. As long as Europe stops being dependent on any form of USA weaponry, this is a good thing.
Okay. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. And as always, share as much kindness as possible.